Okay, so we're going to try and restart it after I just stalled it. I have the idle set too low. It runs good when it's warmed up, but it's not warm yet. We hooked in, this switch here is supposed to be for the fan, but it's hooked to the cable throttle. This is the lighter, this is the fan switch now. Your choke, your left, your right and your left vents, light switch and wiper. The wipers are electric, they're not vacuum, but it has this cool thing. It's the windshield washer pump. If there was windshield washer fluid, you could pump it up. It has the radio brackets, and it has an antenna, so it would have had a factory radio. Turn the heater on. It works, it's just set to blow hot air. Like, there's no adjustments at all. I'm sure you could readjust it, but it was just easiest to do it that way. It's a solid old machine though. It does run really good, or really well. So the engine's been rebuilt. When we got it, the rear end, the guy that had it before us had snapped the rear end, like the gears. We looked all over to find the gear set. I believe they're 12 and 48s, so that's 4 to 1. And we finally found a 1960 Ford school bus that had the same gear ratio at a junkyard, so we did that. This is the worst part of the truck right here. There's a little bit of body filler there, and now it's falling off. But the door still works. It's all still there. Like straight stack. It's running really rich. There isn't really, you can't really fine tune these carburetors. I think the theory was you just put gas in and whatever burnt, and that's it. Like I've rebuilt that carburetor 3 or 4 times and I can't make it any better. There's leaves in the box, but if you have a look, it's not rusted through. It's dented. It's worn like that, but it's not rusted, or there's no holes in the box. It is 51 years old, so it's the original. No, all the numbers, well, I don't know if the numbers match, but I would imagine they do. The engine numbers won't match, but the cab and chassis and the box, it's all the same truck. It's never, you know, it's not this part from this truck and that part from that truck, and it's the original truck. So every year I put air in the tires and start it up in the spring and drive it around a couple miles, 10 miles. And then once again in the fall, we bought it, we restored it, and then we did a nice job, too nice of a job restoring it that we didn't want to use it for hunting in the bush too much. We didn't want to wreck it, so it's been sitting more than it's been used, and we haven't really used it for 5 or 6 years, and it's too nice to let it rot and rust, and you know, another 5 or 10 years there'll be absolutely nothing left of it. So we want it to go to a good home, someone that's looking for one of these. They are very, very hard to find around this part of the world anyway. I'm from Saskatchewan. There's a truck identical to this one at the neighbor's about 20 miles away, but there's no way he'd sell that. They've had it since it was new on their farm. It's a half ton, it's not a 3/4 ton, it's a half ton. And those are 16-inch tires, 5-bolt rim. So they're 5-bolt 16-inch, which is goofy, but that's what they are. Manual locking hubs, of course. It sits pretty tall. It sits about the same height as a new half ton, you know, like not like the 80s and the 90s ones that were really low. It's a pretty big truck. I did have 33-inch tires on it for one summer, but I took those tires off and sold them on another truck. It's just too hard to steer. So there you go, a 312. They call it a Y block. I believe it's because, I'm probably wrong, but I believe it is because The intake manifold is like a battleship. It doesn't, the intake manifold doesn't bolt to the V part of the engine. It sits above it. So that's why it's called a Y block, I think. You can see it. If anyone's really interested, I can find numbers on this and figure out exactly what this engine is. But everybody, the guy that rebuilt it and the guy that owned it before is the same guy. He told me it was a 312 Y block. And I've had lots of guys tell me that. So I think there's only 3 possibilities. It could be a 272, a 292, or a 312. And I was told it's a 312. It's got a lot of power. It really runs nice. It probably should run more.